not just a World War II story, though it is the greatest World War II TV series ever made and the longest running.
It was billed as the most realistic portrayal of World War II ever made, but the price paid by those involved in combat. ABC's groundbreaking war series that aired from 1962 to 1967 was far higher than anyone could have predicted. No one knew back then that this show, lauded for its gritty realism and raw depiction of war, would leave lasting scars on both its cast and crew, some of which remain deeply painful to this day. The show, which followed a small group of American soldiers fighting across France after D-Day, wasn't just a television drama. It was a brutal, unrelenting test of endurance, both physically and mentally. The actors weren't merely playing soldiers. They were pushed to the brink of survival, often facing real bullets, real grenades, and situations so intense that some would never recover. When Combat first hit screens on October 2nd, 1962, it defied expectations. It wasn't about high-ranking officers or grand battle plans. It was about the grueling, raw experience of regular soldiers who were tired, vulnerable, and just trying to stay alive. This wasn't just fiction. It was reality, reflected in every frame of the series. The man behind it all, Robert Pyrosh, had seen the horrors of war firsthand. A decorated World War II veteran, Pyrosh had already won an Academy Award for his screenplay Battleground, known for its unflinching portrayal of combat. He wanted combat to capture the same authenticity, and he succeeded, but at a steep cost. To ensure realism, Pyrosh made one bold decision after another. The actors weren't just cast for their acting chops. They were required to go through a grueling boot camp at Fort Ord, where they had to crawl under barbed wire, throw live grenades, and endure live fire. For many, the training was more intense than what they had faced in the military. Rick Jason, who played Lieutenant Gil Hanley, admitted that this boot camp was tougher than his real-life experience in the Army Air Corps during World War II. And while the actors' real-life military backgrounds gave them an edge, the harrowing experience didn't just stay on screen. The physical and emotional toll would linger long after the cameras stopped rolling. But the truth behind combat wasn't just about intense boot camps. It was about the unexpected tragedies that occurred behind the scenes, tragic losses, shocking confessions, and secrets buried beneath layers of Hollywood glitz. Vic Morrow, who portrayed Sergeant Chip Saunders, one of the most iconic characters in the show, became a symbol of leadership and strength. His portrayal of a soldier struggling with the weight of command resonated with viewers, who saw him not as a flawless hero, but as a man torn apart by war. But Morrow's dedication to his craft went beyond acting. He directed episodes of the show, pushing boundaries and demanding better, not just for himself, but for his fellow cast members. His battle with the producers over creative control was well documented, and his persistence paid off when he became one of the highest-paid television actors of his time. Yet, the cost of this success was personal. Morrow's relentless pursuit of perfection often led to tension, not only with producers, but with his co-stars, including Rick Jason. The two stars of the show, Jason and Morrow, had a complicated relationship. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, but off-screen, they were polar opposites. Jason, who played the calm and calculated Lieutenant Hanley, and Morrow, who brought raw intensity to his role as Saunders, often clashed. Jason was more polished, methodical, and rational, while Morrow's acting style was visceral, relying on emotion and instinct. Their differing approaches to acting often created friction, but, in the end, it was this very contrast that made combat so compelling. The tension between their characters, Hanley's strategic thinking, and Saunders's gut-driven decisions, mirrored the broader tension of war itself, strategy versus survival. And while Jason and Morrow were never close, they respected each other's talents, which made their partnership all the more fascinating to watch. Then there was Pierre Jalbert, who portrayed PFC Paul Kaj Lame, a character whose backstory was as intriguing as the show itself. Born in Canada, Jalbert was a champion skier, and yet he never served in combat. His military connection was limited credited to his time in the Royal Canadian Air Cadets, but his performance as a French-speaking soldier was so convincing that viewers believed him to be a war veteran. He didn't just bring authenticity to his role, he brought a depth of emotion that made his character stand out amidst the chaos of battle. After Combat ended, Jalbert transitioned to a career in film editing, working on iconic projects like The Godfather. But his time on the show left a lasting imprint on both him and the audience. Behind the camera, the series was shaped by people who had lived through the horrors of war. Robert Altman, one of the key directors, brought his own military experience to the show. A B-24 co-pilot during World War II, Altman had flown over 50 bombing missions, and his experiences influenced the way he directed Combat. His episodes, especially those that focused on the psychological toll of war, struck a chord with viewers. One of his most memorable episodes, Survival, captured the isolation and endurance soldiers faced, not just in the battlefield, but within themselves. It was a stunning exploration of the emotional scars war leaves behind, and it was told through a lens that only someone like Altman, who had lived it, could capture. It's hard to believe Combat ended in 1967, but the behind-the-scenes stories of its cast remain haunting. From Rick Jason to Vic Morrow, the actors weren't just playing soldiers. They lived it, enduring physical and emotional struggles. Morrow's tragic death on set serves as a reminder of the dangers of realism in filmmaking, highlighting the intense commitment to authenticity that defined the show's portrayal of war. But it wasn't just the on-set dangers that marked the show's legacy. After Combat ended, the cast members had to adjust to the shifting tides of the industry. Rick Jason, who played Lieutenant Gil Hanley, became a much quieter figure in Hollywood, moving away from acting to explore writing, sculpture, and even breeding tropical fish. Yet, despite his creative ventures, the haunting shadow of his time on Combat never quite left. In 2000, just days after attending a reunion with his former castmates, Jason tragically ended his life. His passing, especially at a time when he seemed to have reconciled with his past, left Hollywood reeling. He'd been open about the emotional struggles he had faced, but his untimely death served as a reminder of how deeply these experiences can affect people long after the cameras stop rolling. Vic Morrow, too, met an untimely and shocking end. On July the 23rd, 1982, while filming Twilight Zone, the movie, an explosion went terribly wrong, and the helicopter meant to carry Morrow's character and 2 children was struck. The crash killed Morrow and the 2 children on set, a tragedy that would change Hollywood forever. The event led to criminal charges and, eventually, a push for stricter safety protocols on film sets. But despite the justice sought, the scars from that night lingered, and it sparked a major overhaul in industry safety standards. In the years since, many have wondered how the accident could have been avoided, what more could have been done to protect the people on set, not just in the name of entertainment, but for their very lives. Then there's Jack Hogan, who portrayed PFC William G. Kirby. After Combat, Hogan transitioned into a new life, becoming an architect. His post-Hollywood career marked a shift away from the world of acting, though he did make occasional appearances on shows like Magnum P.I., The A-Team, and Jake and the Fat Man. His second career, however, was much more grounded, and his legacy extends beyond just his time on screen. Hogan's devotion to his craft and his continued connection with his Combat co-stars was a testament to the lasting friendships formed on the set. Even as his career waned, his bond with the Combat family remained strong, and he passed away in December 2023 at the age of 94. But perhaps the most striking aspect of the Combat cast was the bond they shared, both during and after filming. The cast members didn't just portray soldiers, they lived the experience together. They trained together in real military exercises, withstanding the grueling conditions that forged a lifelong camaraderie. That bond wasn't broken by the years or the ups and downs of their careers. They remained close, and even when time separated them, they continued to check in on each other. Rick Jason's call to check on his friend Dick Peabody years after the show was over, or the playful pranks on set, show the heart behind the intense drama. They may have portrayed soldiers, but off camera, they were truly a family. So, there you have it, Combat's legacy lives on, from its intense realism to the unforgettable cast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insider stories like this. And stay tuned. Next time, we've got some jaw-dropping Hollywood secrets coming your way. Remember, in the world of combat, even the toughest soldiers had a story to tell.